Hypercritical, the comedian Matthew Murray podcast is on, and my microphone is pointed down. I don't like that, so I'm pointing it up, and I don't ever re-record, and I don't ever try twice. So I don't know how well that sounded, and I am not nice. I knew this was going to happen. I knew we were going to run into this episode sooner or later. I did not think it would be this early in the podcast's life, but we're here. And I don't want to be. I've had a really bad day. I always record these on Monday nights, and I'm trying to maintain consistency, and consistency is something that I've had a challenge with in pretty much every aspect of my life. We're always hearing, another thing that's making this podcast difficult is I can never remember what I did or didn't cover. I was trying to write a bit or work on an idea of this concept of pacing yourself. Oh, you'll be fine. Just pace yourself. I don't know how to pace myself. I've never paced myself in my life. Never once have I ever done a long run or eaten a big meal or worked on a big project and went, man, you know what? I arrived at the finish pretty much when I expected to, because I paced myself and I used my time effectively and I got done everything I needed to get done at a considered pace. And now here I am at the finish. Thank goodness that I started early and just did this in manageable chunks. And I can't do that. So I need to record this on Monday nights. And here I am again on Monday night recording. And I've had a horrible, horrible day. Not double horrible. Yeah, pretty close to double horrible. It just went really south on me. So I don't want particularly to record this. But if I don't, then discipline issues. Now, first off, it's not like I have to record this because all 13 of you are like, hey, if I don't have my episode of Hypercritical to listen to late Monday night, early Tuesday, whenever we get a chance to publish it, I record these Monday nights. We're still working on the publishing window because I want to get it published, and it goes everywhere. It goes to YouTube, it goes to Apple. I want it tagged on my social media. We're working on getting the publishing of it more regular, but I do record these every Monday. And developing some routine and some structure in my life is allegedly a very helpful behavior. So here I am Monday night, and I'm miserable. And there's no real upside to this. Because first off, you don't particularly want to listen to a miserable person do a podcast, because what am I going to... First off, it would be fine if I was funny. If I would just pick apart a topic and just rant about it in a way that's actually comedic, we'd be fine. Or if I just started slagging people and publicly slandering another comedian, or throwing my wife under the bus for something that made me mad, or complaining about my day job, then you could at least be like, oh, we got some juicy little gossip there. That was not particularly humorous, but it was spicy. And I don't want to do that. And I also want to do the podcast. The thing is, I've been doing stand-up for 25 years, and I have done stand-up on some horrible, horrible nights. I have had to do stand-up when family members have passed earlier in the week or like the day before. I've had to go do stand-up on days where I've had a bad day, or my car's been wrecked, or I've gotten bad news, or I'm in a bad place emotionally. You have to get up on stage because you're contractually obligated to put on your 45 to 60 minutes, and you put on a happy face. Now, I'm proud to say that I've really only ever ranted on stage about my day twice. Twice that I can recall. Once on a free open mic on a very, very bad day, and once on a paid show, but luckily it came out very funny. And I've got that clip somewhere. If someone messages me off of this Hypercritical podcast that you actually listen to it and you're curious, then I will release the footage, because it will cause some strife with the people I was ranting about on the recording. So if nobody hears this, then I'm fine. But if you hear this and you call me out on it, now I gotta publish it. And if you're that one guy in Calgary that is a longtime listener and a good writer and a good friend who does listen, you don't count because I know you're listening and you're a good person. But I'm a bad person having a bad day, and I'm not obligated to do this at all. Like when I had to do my shows on bad days, you got to do it. Like if you don't do the show, you don't get paid. And I've had shows, I've only ever missed like 2 shows in 25 years. Once where my car broke down on the way to Red Deer, and I ended up doing a different show that night. I made a really good YouTube video out of it. And one time I had to leave and come home a day early on a 7-day run because my spouse was very ill. But that's it. That's all I've had. So next to no shows, no showing up late. That's just not my MO. When there's a show to do, there's a show to do, you do it. That's just part of being a professional stand-up comic. But I'm not a professional podcaster. No, I got no ad reads. I've got no nothing. So with no audience, no dedicated audience waiting for the episode to come out, and no financial incentive, and why am I doing this? I'm doing this because, believe it or not, I'm trying to be a better person. And you would never know that. If you've known me for any amount of time, personally or professionally, you have not ever remarked to yourself, no, there's a guy that's really working on himself. There's a guy that's really just trying to make himself better and a better person for his loved one. No, it's not happening. So I am. I'm hypercritical because I love. Every time people are like, oh, why did you got to tear that process to ribbons? Or because that's my way of helping. So what am I hypercritical about on this episode? What's my theme? Me. I'm hypercritical of myself. 9 times out of 10, if I'm having a bad day like this, it is a byproduct of my own doing. Okay? Nobody knows how to screw me over like me. I'm not self-destructive. I'm not one of those go on a bender, get drunk, do a pile of cocaine and crash my car. I can't be self-destructive enough that it can at least become a hook or a selling point. I can't simply do something so much that people are like, well, man, he's a creative genius, but he's going to destroy himself. I can't do that. No, what I've got to do is just casual self-sabotage on a daily basis. It's kind of like how girls fight. Girls won't like get into a knockdown fist fight and bust each other's nose. They got to do those real subtle slips and cuts and destroy them emotionally and say something at the right time and destroy their worlds. That's kind of what I do to myself. I'm kind of like dating myself. I'm treating myself like my partner that I don't respect all that much. Now, why am I having such a bad day? Well, I mean, first off, you don't care. But hey, it's my podcast and you have to listen. And here's another horrible thing about doing a podcast in a bad mood. What if this is great? What if this is like my first really entertaining podcast where I hate go viral. It's the dumbest phrase ever. But what if this is the one that breaks into 30 listens or 50 listens, or this is the one that people share? I listen to this guy piss and moan about his life. And then now I'm like, oh no, the only time I'm going to be successful is when I'm miserable. So now I've got it. I've found what works, and what works is terrible. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm aware this is not going to be mega successful. I'm obviously worrying about nothing, but just for the sake of a hypothetical, because I like hypothetical situations. What if I blow up on this episode? This is amazing. This is what gets Hypercritical to the next level. He's getting upwards of 40 listens a week. Now I'm like, great. The only time I'm entertaining is when I'm miserable. How do I keep myself in that? It's kind of like that, those musicians who, like, every time the people talk about them, they're like, yeah, they were amazing until they cleaned up, right? And so you remember their musical genres and like when on drugs versus when not on drugs. Like, who is the one they always say is like the guy Post Malone. No, not Post Malone. What is the guy? Coltrane. That's the name. Yeah, everyone's like, oh, Coltrane was so good until he got... I don't even know Post Malone. Why did that come up? Who names their kid Post, by the way? That is like, hi, I'm Joe Malone. I'm Mr. Malone, and this is my son Post. As in, like, dumb as a post, or... I love the cereal brand Post, and then my wife wouldn't let me name him Honeycomb, so I named him Post. Or maybe Post is like the Post is a prefix to after, like post-mortem or post-surgery. He's Post Malone. Like, he used to be, like, I used to have a life, and then I had this child, and now my life is different and over. So this is Post Malone. I was someone... And then I had this kid, and now Post Malone, I'm miserable. I don't know. I don't even know why. I can't even think of a Post Malone song in my head. But Coltrane is the one that everyone's like, oh yeah, well, once he cleaned up, he was not entertaining anymore. So this would be a horrible time to do well. But I think we're okay. I think we're safe at the 11-minute mark. I think we're safe to say this is not going to be the strongest episode. But it's brutal. It's I don't know why I do this to myself. So to start us off, I get into a really good routine. I start waking up early in the morning, going to the gym, eating right. And my wife has been on this campaign to rebuild our basement gym. I had a little gym, and by gym is not the right word. Gym, more like a dungeon. We've got a very low ceiling in our basement, and I had some very cheap workout equipment that I bought on Kaijai, and I would go down there 3 times a week and do my little sweatiness and think, oh, I'm getting in shape, haha. And then she went and got successful. She went and joined a gym, and now she's powerlifting, and she goes 3 times a week, and she's like, okay, let's actually go get some good equipment. So we dropped some serious coin last year, and we got a squat rack and a 45-pound bar, like a proper 2-inch bar, proper 2-inch weights. But we filled the basement with stuff, and we couldn't really clean it out till the spring. It was too cold. Now the basement is all set up. And this basement, my wife has labored on this thing for weeks. Like, if you add up the man hours it took, like, we had to rent a sea container to empty it out and build it. And now it's the best it's gonna be. Okay, it's the best gym you could possibly have with the space constraints, the time constraints, the money constraints. You're not going to get any better. Like, you really can't stand up completely in our basement. It's not like you have to crouch down. It's not like a sunken roof, but like the roof is literally rubbing the top of my head. So you can't lift anything above your eyebrows. So you got to lay down on a bench, and the bench is different. And I've been going to the gym now, to the YMCA, for about a year. All through the winter, I went 3 times a week, and I established this wonderful routine, started feeling good about myself, and the gym is the linchpin for me. It's well documented that you can't exercise, you can't run your way out of a bad diet. But I find when I'm working out, I'm eating better because I don't want to sabotage what I'm doing with the gym. So she got this beautiful basement all set up, and the squat rack is different. The squat rack at the YMCA, it's this big towering machine. It goes up to the roof. You can essentially just sort of walk into the rack, and it'll take the weight right off your shoulders. She got us a squat rack by definition, but it's just different. Not better, not worse. It's just different. And rather than be smart and go, okay, this is a completely new environment, completely new equipment, I should drop my weight way down, get my form, get used to this space. No, I'm like, I'll just take the amount of weight that I do at the YMCA and I'll do it at home. Because, I'm stupid. I had to use the stupid voice to say that because it's dumb. So already earlier in the week, I was using the stuff once, and I twisted something and it didn't go well. But this one, the squat rack, it's got like a little U-shaped metal bracket at the top. So when you come down, in order for the squat rack to take the bar off your shoulders and take the weight off of you, you got to come down right in that metal U, which is not hard to do unless you're blind in one eye and woefully underbalanced and you're lopsided and you're wonky, which is what I am. Anybody else would have no problem with this, but I do because it's me. So what I should do is do it on the minimum weight so that I get used to, okay, I always put my feet here. Maybe I'll put little marks on the floor so I know where my feet are so I can trust myself. But no, I don't do that. So what do? I go to do my squat rack and the whole weight shifts and I like basically invert my spine. I basically give myself a reverse pile driver, like a tombstone pile driver with 185 pounds on my shoulders, because I can certainly regain control of that weight when I've lost it. And so rather than just let go of the bar, because my wife has been smart, she's put that foamy stuff down, like those shock resistant pads all over the ground. No, I don't want to damage any of this stuff, so I'll just let this thing flip me ass over head and just crack every vertebrae in my spine backwards. So I'm in tremendous pain sitting here right now. And what sucks is it's me. I'm trying to I'm a man and I'm a man child. So I want to blame the rack. I want to blame the lighting. I want to blame the world. And that's what you do. I mean, that's why you have a spouse, is so you have someone to blame when you don't achieve your goals. I mean, it's even better with kids. When you can have kids that you can blame, you can just call your kid Post Malone and be like, hey, Post Malone, now I can't achieve anything because I was busy raising you. I've got the best of both worlds. I've got a child to blame and I've got a wife to blame. But the problem is my daughter is amazing. She hears me cry out in pain from the basement. It's funny. It's funny too, because when you're like dating a girl and you hurt yourself, she'll be like, oh my God, are you okay? Can I get you an ice pack? We could call a doctor. They still care. But when you're married and you hurt yourself, your spouse is like, what the fuck did you just do to yourself now? There's that moment, like, if I had seriously hurt myself, she would have seriously cared. Maybe, because there's money in it if I die. But your spouse, when you hurt yourself and it's evident quickly that you did it to yourself out of stupidity, the sympathy is considerably less. Considerably less. Now, my daughter doesn't understand that. She's still sympathetic. So I'm in pain. I'm cussing the world. And my daughter said, oh, I'll get you an ice pack, Daddy. Do you want me to do the massage like I see in the cartoons? Doing like the little oriental karate chop massage on my back. She's amazing. She's doing everything she can to make me feel better. My wife does not want to condone my stupidity, and I don't want to admit that it's just my fault. So I'll just be in agonizing back pain for a while. But I learn. I don't learn. See, this is now where I want to move on and be like, oh, well, we'll do that again. No, I'll probably do something stupid like that again, but I'll figure it out. So, I mean, I'm mad at myself for injuring myself like that, but I'm also mad at myself because I ranted and railed and blamed others rather than put it on myself. And then you got to do that shitty phone call that when you do that, when you like, it's nice to fight with your spouse when it's a real fight. When like they believe something and you believe something and you're at odds and you got to convince the other person, or when they're being irrational and you want to fight with them, or even if you're both just angry about you, she's had a bad day, you've had a bad day, and you're fighting. Those are fun. Because then at the end you go, well, that was sucked. Okay, let's go watch a cartoon. I love you, great. But when it's so one-sided that just one of you was being an idiot, you got to do that stupid phone call. I was dumb. I hate that. I do it because I can admit fault. I'm evolved, but I'm hypercritical of myself. So I'm going to try. Maybe this is the change. Maybe because now I have this podcast and I did this recording even though I didn't have to. This will be it. I'll be like, wow, I hated that I had to do that podcast of being grumpy, and now I'll be smarter. I won't. Maybe, but I won't. I mean, it's all hard. Anybody who's tried to lose weight or get in shape, it's miserable. I don't understand. There's this thing called muscle memory. And what muscle memory is when your muscles remember how much you hate working out and then you don't do it again. That's a joke, but when I was working out at the YMCA, I was genuinely enjoying it. Enjoying it. Like, I was just getting to the point where the other guys who were there at the same time as me were recognizing me and were starting mild conversation. And like gym conversation is usually just a series of grunts. Weight lift, good, yeah. Sports. Not really my native tongue. I'm getting better at it. But the guys were just starting to acknowledge. There was like this common, hey, I'm seeing you here often enough that you care about yourself. Therefore, you might have some sort of value. I'll engage in a casual conversation with you. And one thing is, my wife hates when I make little quips and little jokes through the day. But I love doing it. I love telling a joke to a waitress or making a smart remark to a cashier or a guy at the gym, because you don't know how their day's going. I will call like a WestJet or a customer service call, and I'll start with something funny because they've had 50 phone calls that day, and they might be at 8 hours into their phone call, and they're miserable. And the last guy just told them to eat a shit burger. And when you start to treat them like a little bit like a human being or make them laugh, maybe that person was having a horrible day like I am now. And that little remark just gave them 20 seconds of relief and reminded them that their shift will be over soon and they get to go home. So I like telling those jokes as much as they drive my wife nuts. And I was just getting to the point at the gym where there was starting to be some familiar faces and, hey, the deadlift. Yes, good. And so I'm trying this thing. I'm trying to get into this workout thing. But the muscle memory, you would think, like, I tell you, I work out at like 6 a.m, and then by 7 a.m, I'm in my office early, showered, feeling good. The muscles got that kind of good ache. I had some protein, and I was better at my day job. And I'd be at 7 o'clock, I'd be like, man, that was great. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I got up. I went to bed early. And your mind erases that every time. So 2 days later, when the alarm goes off and it's another workout day, you look and you're like, fuck no, I want to sleep. I hate everything. Leave me alone. Let me sleep. I've never got to that point of muscle memory where my body's like, yeah, time to work out. Let's go. Let's add a little more weight. Maybe we could do a little run on the way to the gym. I've never hit that spot. And I think a little bit of the frustration of going back now to the home. First off, I have to go to the home gym. We've sunk like $2,000 easy into this stuff, right? And I would never be able to sell it for what we bought it for. So that's the gym now. To go spend money on a monthly basis at the YMCA when everything I realistically need, because I'm not doing CrossFit. I'm not doing amazing cable extension things that you need one of those super fancy high. I'm just like heavyweight, pick up, put down, done. Very little that I ever did at the YMCA that I can't. But the only one thing I can do at the YMCA that I can't do at home is shower with other men, right? I could technically if I invited one over, but then it's weird. So really all I'm losing out on is the group shower, which you would think, hey, well, now I'm showering at home, even better. The gym has gone from being 20 minutes away, possibly in the rain, to 8 seconds away. So theoretically should be better. So I've got to do something to make that dungeon into a new place that I want to do. I got to drop the weight and build the routine. Got to build that muscle memory. It's like a muscle I've never worked. I mean, I have, but I hate it and I'm miserable about it. And I'm going to be miserable about it for a while. So look forward to more misery as I'm trying to do this. I mean, I like to go for walks and try and get a bit of cardio in. I went for a walk in my neighborhood the other day. There must be 13 houses within a 2-block radius of my house that have a basketball hoop, either on their garage at the end of their driveway or a standalone, like, weighted basketball hoop, either on the side of their driveway and no one is playing basketball. The weather is beautiful. We don't have bugs yet. Why? Like, I pass these basketball hoops. Not that I want to play basketball. I mean, yes, I have this insane idea that there'd be a pickup game of basketball, which I don't know how to play, on my block with other men that maybe I could go shower with. That would be great. But to pass so many basketball hoops and not see anyone playing, it's like looking at my gym equipment. It's like, oh, they're actually probably at a gymnasium in a league, intramural league, playing actual basketball with other people. But they went and spent that money on that basketball hoop thinking, oh, well, we'll play at home and all the guys will come over. We'll have a great time. And they're not. So I'll figure this out. I want to say thank you to Brian Stollery, who played the Yuck Yucks here in Saskatoon last Friday night. I messaged him earlier in the week, and he was so gracious. He said, hey, why don't you come down to the show and do some guest time? And that was great. It was great to hop up on stage and do a few new jokes. I'll upload some of that footage here on the social media channels later this week. But it's also like one of the best parts about hanging out with comedians. Hanging out with comedians is different. We call everyone else normies. And if you've ever listened to a Joe Rogan podcast or whatever, it's just different when it's the comedians rather than he's doing an interview with someone, because we're just wired differently. And it's just nice. So that as fun as it was to go do a spot and be at a comedy club with other comedians on a Friday night, what I enjoyed more was Saturday morning. Saturday morning, I went back over to the hotel. We all had breakfast. It was me and Brian and a couple other comedians. And we talked about old school comedy versus new school and tagged each other's jokes and busted balls and were mean to each other and supportive at the same time. And that's what I really enjoy. So a big thank you out to Brian Stollery. Go check him out. The guy's got 4 albums out. He probably has a podcast or some other thing. Like, I don't know if he does, but he was the first guy to win funniest new comic on Sirius XM. He's awesome out of Calgary. Check him out and check out my stuff. I mean, we're starting to book up the Christmas season. I have other things I want to ramble about, but that's cathartic, I guess, to ramble out about my bad mood and my bad day, and my back is absolutely killing me. But I'm going to go home, hop in my hot tub, and soak and enjoy a Rick and Morty and drink and start it over again tomorrow. So I'm hypercritical of everything, including myself, and I should have a better tagline to end my show, but I don't.